So this is something I, 45F, had struggled with for a couple years before making the decision to leave and divorce my, now ex-husband, 45M. All I've gotten from him has left me feeling invalidated and gaslit. About 5 years ago, my husband and I took a 7-night Caribbean cruise with 5 other couples. We only ate dinner together twice the entire time. We have one child, a daughter who was 7/8 at the time, and had been together 15 years and married 10. It had been several years since we had taken an adults-only vacation. I did all the legwork for us regarding planning, arrangements for our daughter, grandparents who spend winter down south, drive 15 hours down from New York, but only 45 minutes from the airport we could fly from to get to our port in FL, booking and paying for everything, house/pet sitters, even filling out his passport renewal paperwork. We were going through an extremely stressful time, and he had been getting increasingly jerkish the past couple years, and he had ruined a trip we had taken for my business the year before due to this. This cruise was with 5 other couples who were friends. Fun peeps, but more longtime good acquaintances than close friendships. We're all social and get along together, so I had literally no qualms about that and was excited to go. The first night of the cruise was fine. We ate a casual dinner, just the 2 of us, and spent time before and after with the group. Drinks, food. Overall great time. After this, things went south quickly. The next day, after an 8 a.m. breakfast, everyone met at our spot at the pool on the Lido deck, all hung out. Later in the afternoon, I went to our room to shower and get a head start on my husband to get ready for dinner. We had a reservation at the steakhouse. All the other couples had their own dinner plans every night except one, where we had booked an hibachi dinner for a birthday celebration of one of the guys in our group. We all had our own couple times and would have meet-up spots. He never came to the room to shower, so, without cell phones, I went back to the pool to see if he was there. He was still partying it up. I was all dressed up and ready for dinner, and he was tanked and still in his trunks. I was just going to remind him of the time, and that he needed to get ready when I saw he spotted me, not knowing I'd already spotted him, and he ran and ducked, obviously trying to avoid me. That miffed me, but I knew he saw me and figured he'd run quick and get ready and pretend he hadn't lost track of time. I went to a lounge and had a drink and headed to our dinner, assuming he'd be there, or would be shortly. He showed up looking sheepish and was apologetic as I was finishing my 3rd course, alone, not wanting to ruin a good time. I expressed how hurt I was, and when he lied about losing track of time, I let him know I saw him hiding from me when I went to find him. Long story short, he got defensive, dismissive, and used this scenario to become mad at me. And I walked out of the restaurant as I had finished my meal and he had just ordered. It was a late dinner, around 10 p.m., and I was exhausted, bummed TF out, so left him there and went to bed. He didn't come back to the room until after 4 a.m. He could not explain where he was and with whom for the entire time. He said he was bored out of his mind and walking around the ship after partying with the rest of the group until late, but not 4 to 5 a.m. late. Rinse and repeat. Every day. Apologize and then ditch me after lunch. I was not trying to affect anyone's good time and was made to feel like I need to just let it go by husband and also the people in our group. I found that odd, since every other couple had planned and gone to their own dinners each night. As couples, nobody, especially the women, would be okay with this if they were in my shoes. It didn't make any sense and felt so confused and hurt, and each morning felt no choice but to pretend this wasn't happening and hope that day/night would go differently. Each time he would leave me because I was upset and wanting answers for why he kept leaving me. I had these conversations privately so as not to look like a Debbie Downer. What a way to have a built-in excuse for leaving your wife to eat dinner alone every night. Knowing we had no phones, I'd often be bummed out and just go back to the room, which he never called or came to find me. A couple times we did run into each other on the ship after I ate alone, and he'd do the same thing, get mad and stalk off. It's important to note, I'm the social butterfly and friend maker between the 2 of us. Let's just say it was an ongoing joke how many weddings and events we've been invited to because I make friends everywhere and can strike up convos and friendships with just about anyone. I am not a stick in the mud and have always had great time with these people, while also having lots of interests and casting a wide social net, generally speaking. The last night, hibachi dinner with the whole group, I show up last, having lost my husband, at some point prior, again. Everyone had their seats and I was sat at the end, without my husband while everyone else sat next to their spouses. He would barely look at or speak to me, and just carried on this super arrogant and downright cocky attitude towards me, as he had been doing. His acting that way was one thing, but the group carrying on and making me feel like I just needed to suck it up and get on, or pretending my husband wasn't being the biggest D-bag ever, was so confounding to me. Like I was being gaslit by everyone, and I had no idea why or where this behavior came from. It was a nightmare. I literally kept thinking that this can't be happening and try to keep letting things go and to just have a good time. I ended up leaving after dinner and going back to the room alone again. It was after 5 a.m. before husband returned to the room. The disco closed at 2 every night and nothing else was going on. Unaccounted for, not just times before dinner, but several hours each night with nothing to do, and no reasonable explanations or timelines to be had. This always bothered me, and for many reasons besides this, including him needing to get a job bartending at the social club we hang out with these same people at semi-regularly during COVID, when we didn't need the money, while staying way later to close than reasonable, and me leaving and staying at an Airbnb for about a month BC of all this. I bought a home for my daughter and I, through my business, and left. I left everything except my clothes and set up an entirely new home and filed for separation. I took almost nothing I was legally entitled to in the divorce as well. My sanity had no price tag on it, and it was and still is worth every penny. Come to find out, after this, most of the couples, if not all, are swingers. X has to this day sworn up and down nothing nefarious happened and that he had never cheated on me. He will die on that hill. However, if I were giving advice to one of my friends walking in these stilettos, I'd tell them to face the obvious truth. However, when someone can lie so convincingly, it makes one question what their eyes see and ears hear. And without solid proof, I still feel so gaslit about it all. So, AITA and her crazy for leaving him and putting my own emotional safety first, even without proof. Our relationship had become so toxic, and I felt I had to do what was best for me and my daughter. He is a great father, and I've never talked about any of this with our daughter, who is about to turn 14, knowing he plays the victim and acts like he was blindsided. It's been just 2 years since I left, and we get along now for the most part, and do things together with our daughter regularly, mostly due to my resolve to just get along for her. However, since he's never acknowledged a single thing, validated a single feeling, paints me as the bad guy, and because of mutual friends, I've kept my mouth shut. This still bothers me. Does this make sense to anyone? I'm not familiar with swinger culture, but absolutely do not care about or judge whatever consenting adults want to do as long as it doesn't affect me. Maybe just some validation that I'm not freaking crazy, and yeah, as they say, if it looks like a skunk? I'm hoping to get some outside perspective. Best comment. You're definitely NTA. Ditching you every night, coming back at 4 a.m., and acting like you're the problem? That's some next level gaslighting. You did the right thing by putting yourself and your daughter first. He's playing the blame game and manipulating you. It was a good choice to leave him OP. He doesn't deserve you guys. It's called Darvo. OMG, I never heard of that, so just looked it up. Bingo. That was, and is his manipulation tactics to a T. Thank you for sharing.